As Nigeria inches towards the 2027 elections, now there are calls for diaspora voting as it keeps growing and getting louder. Now, with remittances soaring and global influence rising, millions abroad are demanding a seat at the ballot box. News Central's recent town hall in New York brought together legal minds and diaspora voices to push that conversation forward. But as the demand for inclusion grows, will political will catch up, or will diaspora voting remain a distant dream? Well, joining us to discuss this further is Professor Mondy Selle-Gold. It's the BOT chairman of ADC in the USA. Thank you for joining. And also Francis Mountainfly joins us as a political analyst and also strategist. I also have a Professor Jelili Adebiyi as a former worldwide board member and Nigeria's in Diaspora organization. Thank you for your time, gentlemen.
Thank you, Dayo.
All right. Let me start with you, Professor. Professor, the idea of diaspora voting, are we due as a nation for this? Are we ripe? My question is to you, Professor Mondy.
Oh, certainly. Yes, it's long overdue for a number of reasons. It is a practice that has been universally accepted. It is a practice that was put into place in 1975 in the United States. It is a practice that was already in place during the Roman Emperor Augustus, 12 BC to AD 14. So we are not trying to reinvent the wheel. All we need to do, as you have articulated before, is to have the political will to do so. It is not about allowing or encouraging the Nigerian diaspora to come on board on the basis of remittances. No, that is far, because even the remittance figure being reported is leaving a significant part of it out of the equation. December alone, 60 billion. And in the past 5 years, we have been remitting regularly 20 billion. So that's not the issue. You have to also take into consideration how much Nigerians are spending, how much Nigerians are traveling to Nigeria with on a yearly basis. Some of us, minimum requirement in the US is 10,000 US dollars. And so if you put on, what about the things we are shipping to Nigeria? So it is totally unfair to tie our financial contributions to the nation on the basis of what is reported by the government figures amounting to the 20 billion. So but let's keep that aside. We have a responsibility to make sure that Nigeria practices genuine democracy. Genuine democracy requires that no citizen is left behind. And that means no group of Nigerians are supposed to be marginalized on the basis of exercising their democratic rights.
Irrespective of which parts of the world they might be.
If you have 20 billion Nigerians, and one of the most educated group of people, it calls for bringing them on, it calls for full engagement that with the capacity to transform Nigeria. I must submit to you that the transformation of Nigeria has been painfully slow because of the inability of the federal government of Nigeria to carry along the Nigerian diaspora.
All right, thank you so much, Professor Mondy. I mean, let's look at even some African countries that have started this. We have countries like South Africa, Namibia, Guinea-Bissau, Mozambique, just to mention a few. But I'm coming to you right now, Professor Adebiyi. Professor Adebiyi, I'm also asking you the same question, but I like an angle that Professor Mondy actually did take. He also made reference to remittances. So I would like you to also speak in that light. Do you think that given what we have right now, Nigeria as a country should join the list of other countries across the world that have already started diaspora voting?
I was among the stakeholders who started this discussion within the entity known as Nigerian Diaspora Organization as a worldwide board member. I was part of those that started the idea that incubated what is known as Nigeria NIDCOM that Abike Dabiri is in charge of. And, we evolved with time. And back in the days, we were really emotional about it. But having been following the situation of politics in Nigeria, honestly, if the right thing is not in place, I don't think the Nigerian diaspora voting really makes a lot of sense. And I will tell you the reason. Even in Nigeria, the integrity of vote is a big issue. And when we vote in the diaspora, what tells us that the integrity of the vote is not going to be compromised? There's a lot of assumption about the unity of Nigerians in the diaspora. Nigerians in the diaspora, they are as divided as those at home, even worse off.
Are you, sorry, you said that Nigerians in diaspora are even way more divided compared to those within the country. Can you give scenarios?
Yeah, I belong to some major lists of Nigerians across different ethnic divide. You can't imagine the level of, toxicity that is going on there. Everything is polarized along racial line. And I'm coming back to this thing called Nigerian diaspora because I've been part of it. I understand all these, intricacies, everything that is going on. In those Yahoo group, not on a single day, you won't find toxic exchanges. The Yorubas are against the Igbos, the Hausas are against the Yoruba, everybody's against one another. Just very few of us have sanity. In terms of, no, let's come together, you're all Nigerians. So that by itself is going to affect a voting process whose integrity is already compromised at all. The other thing is this, the Nigerians at home, they are also really in the diaspora. They are divided along party line. When NIDO was formed in 2001, and there was a structure of ministers from the diaspora, the leadership of Olusegun Obasanjo and other subsequent leadership, they knew that they need to take control of NIDO. By the time they extracted ministers, some people came back home and they started looking for contract. NIDO became a conduit, and not this diaspora organization. In fact, I was in a meeting in Abuja, and one of the PAMSEC with folks in the diaspora, people were submitting contract bids, and we were fighting one another in the meeting. And the PAMSEC on that particular meeting said, you guys need to go and sort out your problem because there is a discordance of tone. And what is the reason for this? The reason is because the Nigerian diaspora is also polarized along partisan lines. There are those doing the bidding of APC, there are those doing the biddings of PDP, ADC has been added to the line, Labour Party is part of it. And all of this means that we are not talking about a concrete homogeneous group. We are talking about a politically polarized group. If they rig along party lines in Nigeria, I don't think that is not going to be a problem. I don't think that is not going to happen there.
Professor,
so that's a big issue.
Professor Adebiyi, you've raised a couple of issues, but let's take it piecemeal. Let's take it, bit by bit. And I'll be coming to you right now on this. That's from Mr. Francis Mountainfly. He said something. He talked about the workability of this. Given the fact that at home there's division, around party, around tribe, around religion. He also said even Nigerians in diaspora, you are over there, are very as much divided, if not worse, than those at home. I'd like you to speak on this. In lieu of this, what I call a proposal right now that, people like yourself who are abroad should be given the right to vote, during elections.
In fact, when I heard Nigerians in diaspora is demanding to vote, and my first question is that, is Nigeria ready? Is the Nigeria in diaspora ready? That's the first question. And when I talk about ready, the readiness factor, do we actually understood what it means? Before diaspora voting can be fully adopted, even thought about beginning the discussion, Nigeria herself must overcome several challenges. Some are logistically, legal. The legal part of it is essential. Let us not forget, before you call for anything, the 1999 Constitution has amended, and the current Electoral Act does not explicitly allow this conversation, how much more calling for it. So before we even begin to imagine the diasporas, we need to vote, or you're looking at the remittancy is something on its own. We're talking about vote. Remember, if we if the remittance is 600 million or billion, when it comes to voting, the number of people who vote are this small. So let us not mix the remittance and the voting. Until the Nigerian Constitution is being amended and provide a provision within its clause that will allow this external voting, that's when we'll begin to say, oh, we're calling for this. Not just that, you see, the factor that Nigerian itself, the electoral infrastructure, the technology is work. So there's no integrity in it. There's no credibility in it. So why would the diaspora, there's a lot of problem to be sorted. Whoever that is sitting on the diaspora's affair in Nigeria, I know her very well. There need to be a conversation. There are other things that bothers Nigerians, not even diaspora wanted to vote. Like the last speaker said, it will not even work because the political division in diaspora is even worse than the one back home. I can tell you.
This is pretty much interesting feedback in terms of how divided, you have said that Nigerians are, even in diaspora, along party, along tribe, maybe religion also. It also begs the question of cohesion here. But I'll come back to you, Mr. Francis Mountainfly. Let's go on a quick break. When we return, we'll definitely dwell on this topic deeper. Stay with us. We'll be right back. It's still Politics HQ on New Central Television. I still have my guests with me. And now, before we went on that break, Francis Mountainfly, you were trying to sort of paint a picture of how maybe for now unworkable this idea of diaspora voting is. You talk about division, which, of course, for you put it forward that Nigerians are even more divided politically over there than here. So maybe in 30 seconds, I would like you to also talk more on that political division. What is responsible for this? Why is the division so much intense than what we even have at home here?
Thank you very much. It's this thing we call ethnicity inheritance, or you inherit this non-social norm from your tribal connections. Let me take the APC as a case study in the United Kingdom. When you come into the APC party in United Kingdom, like in Manchester, you probably find that it's only one ethnic dominance in that party. And where are the others? So if you go to PDP, you experience the same thing. You come to APGA, you experience the same thing. These are all what's happening in the United Kingdom. And I'm part of these social groups, and fortunately for me, I speak Igbo, I speak Hausa, and I speak Yoruba, so I can easily navigate my way other than those who cannot. So what the last speaker was saying, professor was saying, is absolutely true. To be honest, it's even more stringent, it's even more scary when you talk about politics in diaspora. People go all the way to, try to cause a lot of unnecessary enmity because of party, and this is something that we need to even address. There's something that happened over 2 weeks. Somebody made a comment and the diaspora chairman went to put a laughing emoji. So that tells you a lot. That tells you where the division in ethnic lines, you see? So right. I don't want to lean on that, but when I saw this kind of thing, with a high level credibility, the office that you hold, you shouldn't be doing certain things on the social media. Why putting a laughing emoji? These are the example, yeah.
All right, Francis Mountainfly, thank you so much. Let me come back to Professor Mondy. Professor, you seem to be very optimistic about the workability of the diaspora voting, at least from your opening remarks. You said it's about time, and it's not novel. It's been around for ages. And for you feel that Nigeria should, come of age and start it, if not immediately. But the issue, just like they have raised, of division along party lines, ethnic lines, maybe religious lines, do you think that this really poses a challenge?
it's not because a husband and wife are having misunderstanding. That misunderstanding should not and can never allow the children to suffer, should not prevent the children from going to school. There are obvious challenges in every society and every organization. Mine has some fundamental problems. That is clearly known to the majority of the people. The point here is that the majority of the speakers yesterday at the town hall meeting, and majority of the people, Nigerian diaspora, believes, I must say this on good authority, believes that Nigerians in diaspora should be part of the democratic process, no matter the shortcomings, because we have to start from somewhere. And if you have to wait for a perfect system to realize your aspirations, I think that is, for me, I do not subscribe to that. In fact, let me also go one step further. We, as a group, various organizations that I represent, you remember I was a former chairman of Madeco, and I'm the chairman of the Joe Diaspora Council, and I'm the co-founding member of the Nigerian Diaspora Coalition for Change. These organizations fully support the idea of diaspora voting rights. In fact, I would also call that because the legislature is incapable of doing what they are supposed to do, and the executive has been playing around, when the parliamentarians are incapable of doing what they are supposed to do to a large extent, it is incumbent upon the presidency to intervene. That is exactly what has happened in the United States, where Donald Trump came on board and presented an executive order to strengthen the electoral system in the United States. So today, I'm also calling on the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to come up with an executive order without further delay. Because if you're looking for an Igbo man, in fact, the experiences they are sharing are yes, there are challenges, but I have not seen that in the ADC in the United Kingdom and ADC in the United States.
So for you, sorry, just to be clear, so the ADC, according to you in the United Kingdom, for instance, does not, sort of tilt towards any ethnic lines. That's what you're saying?
Absolutely not. We know better, and we are doing better. Sorry, sir. Just hold on for a moment. Let me just ask Professor Jelili. Do you also think that is the case with the ADC in the United Kingdom?
Initially it was set up to be a Tambua ticket. It has been pivoted to, Atiku, trying to dictate the show. The ADC in the diaspora is as polarized as other existing political party.
Polarized to what? Polarized to what tribe?
I do not belong to any of these groups because I want to be independent. So that as one of the leaders in the diaspora and as one of the headers in the diaspora, we can induce common sense. And I want us to get back to this conversation, Vera. You see, there are other issues too that will affect the integrity of the voting. Needles voting has always been characterized by anarchists of all sorts. They go to court from time to time, and they've not been able to experience peace. So when you talk about rigging, there are allegations of rigging here too. When you talk about due processes not being followed, there are instances, even in the UK, recently in Middle Europe, they had a crisis, they had to take themselves to court, all kinds of shenanigans. So when you think about shenanigans happening in Nigerian politics, we have it too in the diaspora. And we don't even know the number of Nigerians in diaspora. We have never even sat down to define who qualifies to vote. I'm not talking about, all these small elite group. They have some group of friends coming together, not really representative of Nigerians in the diaspora. As some set of elders who are coming together to rethink the whole process. We need to have well-marked plans. If we come up with a process today, political parties with members in the diaspora, they will hijack it.
And who will hijack it? Who will hijack it? Who will hijack it?
I tell you, because let me tell you the way it works. The way it works is that the political parties in Nigeria, ruling party, they have their own people here. And their own people will be supported by the Nigerian High Commissions. Because the Nigerian High Commissions, they cannot be working against the ruling party at the federal level. We need to understand these dynamics. It's part of the equation. I've worked with them. I work with them in Malaysia and every single places I've lived.
Professor Adebiyi, please hold on for a moment. Let me allow you rest and bring back Professor Selle-Gold. Professor, would you like to react to some of the things that have been said?
He's sharing the experience purely on the basis of his relationship with Mindo, and I respect that, I appreciate that. But you cannot move the challenges in Mindo. Mindo is a government-run organization. We are part of organizations that are not looking for government contracts. The Joe Diaspora Council, the leadership of that organization, has never at any point in time looked for contracts in Nigeria. So let us not mix issues here. The issue here at stake here, he's saying that we don't even know the population of the people in Nigeria. That is unbelievable. The record shows that we have at least 17 million Nigerians in the diaspora. It is a record. Google it, you will find it. So let's have the facts, straighten the facts, and focus on the facts, follow the facts. We cannot continue to live. Look at the American system that allowed, let me repeat myself, allowed their diplomats and soldiers to vote, beginning from 1975. Just this year, the system has already been, the president came up with an executive order. So you will never find a perfect system. To argue on the line of strategic, a framework that would allow my children to vote, even I am not allowed to vote because of one reason or the other, let our children who are above 18 years or thereabout should be allowed to vote. You cannot push your shortcomings to succeeding generations. We must do the needful, do the right thing, and doing the right thing requires that there should be no basis for preventing 17 million people from their constitutional responsibility. It's a civic responsibility. We have a group, that is the transformation process, requires converting passive Nigerians or passive individuals to individuals capable of transforming Nigeria. We have them in the diaspora. So we cannot use the model of the divisive Mindo. By the way, Mindo is working hard to redeem their status, so we must give them credit. And we cannot follow the practices of a specific organization and generalize it. I do not want to speak in absolute terms because no one has all that is required to make Nigeria great. So let us be measured in our pronouncements, in our conclusions, and ensure that we call for voting rights, the implementation, come up with a constitutional amendment of the 1990 Constitution and the Electoral Act to make sure that more abiding citizens who have been disenfranchised over the years have the legal status. Let me tell you, Nigeria is far behind compared. If you go to Africa, within the context of Africa, there are 54 countries. Nigeria cannot claim to be the lion of Africa when 20 million people don't have right to vote. We have 37 out of the 54 countries. We're supposed to set the pace, and that is not happening. Right. We are now becoming a laughing stock, and some of us, honestly, will not. Look, I have been in the US for over 40 years, so there is nothing anybody's going to say that I am not familiar with. And so concerning the interests of diaspora and what the diasporans have gone through. And so the time has come, not only for the Nigerian diaspora to wait for legislative transformation or whatever. It is incumbent upon the president to make sure that this idea of giving the 20 million people the right to vote is put in place as quickly as possible before the 2027 election. All
right, Professor Selle-Gold, thank you so much. I noticed that while you were talking, Francis Mountainfly vehemently was disagreeing with quite a number of the things you were saying. So, but we'll go on a quick break. When we return, I'll be coming to you, Mr. Francis, on your take on some of the things Professor said. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Many thanks for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television. I still have my guests with me. Thank you for staying with me, gentlemen. Let me come to you, Francis Mountainfly. You seem to sort of not agree with some of the things Professor Selle-Gold has said as regards the diasporan voting. He keeps saying that, look, it's about time, irrespective of the challenges, we should not deprive Nigerians abroad the right to vote. Why do you disagree?
To an extent, I disagree in a lot of things that was said tonight. And like me, without facts, I don't want. Most of the things are based on assumptions. You know, when I hear 17 million Nigerians in diaspora, they want to vote, and when they vote, they're going to make changes in Nigeria. And like I said, is Nigeria ready? Until you answer that question, it's not about the president putting an executive order.
Sorry, in bullet points, why do you think we are not ready?
We are not ready. The infrastructure is not even there. The policies is not even there. Nigeria itself is not even there. The nepotism that is destroying Nigeria has not even been addressed. So who's going to lead this course? Is it just someone running a parallel thinking, having imagination in their head that, oh, we need to get this done because they want to siphon money, they want to use it as another means of corruption? We're talking about diasporan here in the United Kingdom, in the US, in Europe. I've traveled wide and far, and I've asked questions. When there's no statistic, there's no evidence, except professor is going to show me stats that says 17 million Nigeria wanted to vote, and if they vote, this what the vote will amount to, then I'll begin to believe that.
So for you, if Professor Selle-Gold provides statistics for you right now, you would have a change of heart.
Professor, if you provide stats, believe you, I will move my political minds in Europe and say, people, let's go to National Assembly. Let's get this 1993 Constitution as amended, the Electoral Act. Let us keep fighting. I will be the one that will be at the forefront of this.
All right.
You cannot run when you've not even started crawling. There are pipelines. There are things we need to put in place. We cannot be building skyscraper with our imagination and assumptions that, oh, because US did it, United States did it, and UK did it. Even Ghana do vote for presidential election from diaspora. But look how long it took them to have that process. What do we have in our pipeline? Can anyone show me what Nigeria have in a pipeline?
All right, your point has been established, Francis Mountainfly. Just quickly, before I come to Professor Selle-Gold to respond to all of this, I know that Professor Adebiyi, you have something to say.
Thank you. There is even no statistics anywhere. The last time I went to the Nigerian embassy in DC, and I asked this question, what progress have they made with the database project? They said our people are not cooperating. I asked how many Nigerians are on DARA living in the US. They don't know. You know, we need to. This
was an inquiry. Sorry, to be sure, this was an inquiry you made personally to the Nigerian.
I made it because I'm interested in the DARA. We've been on this. We've been on this for more than 10 years. There are many issues, and these issues, it comes to the complications of Nigeria and the diaspora. Part of the complication is that for those of us that are here legally, you know, we are open to, you know, registering with the Nigerian embassy. But many people, when they come here, they don't even register with the Nigerian embassy. The professor himself, Professor Monday, was citing 17 million. He was citing 20 million. Which one do you believe? 20 million, 17 million. Where did they get this data from? People are just making things up. You know, there is no concrete data. What we know is that majorities of the Nigerian and the diaspora, they are in the UK and they are in Europe. The exact number, Nigerian embassy doesn't know. Nobody knows what the numbers are. That is that. We need to understand that. Then the other thing is even the logistics of voting. You know, there is a different thing. When you look at the logistics of passports, we are still facing a lot of things. Going to Nigerian embassy in Canada, going to Nigerian embassy in the UK, in Europe, in America. They still have complications. When you go there, the crowdiness, how things are not taking shape, you know, people being exploited. All those things tells us about real systemic issues that needs to be addressed. I'm a policy person. I don't come into this conversation with emotion. I come into this conversation as a strategist, asking the right question, ensuring that the right thing in place. If that thing is not properly done, it will worsen the existing fragile relationship among Nigerians in diaspora. And that is why, for me, I've been moving the conversation away from voting. If that number is 10 million, can we use the power of that number? If it is 5 million with a remittance, mobilize one person each to the polling center. Mobilize 2 persons each to the polling center. If politicians are buying them, give them money so that they cannot buy them. So that when they vote in Nigeria,
I need to understand that strategy. Please hold on. So you are saying that instead of Nigerians in diaspora voting, what you are suggesting is that Ghana resources, where politicians are trying to monetize or buy votes, individuals will be sort of counter-bidded.
On this, thank you so much. That is the whole thing, because you know, as a kid.
So what's the objective of the person who is counter-bidded to not sell his vote? What's the objective? Is it to make him vote his conscience?
When I was growing up, I learned politics from the late senior Moro Yaradua. You know, I learned politics from him by virtue of the role of my father in politics. I learned politics from him. So what you need to understand is that the way politics works in Nigeria is this. Unlike us, the politicians are really good at engaging the grassroots. They know the right time to release money. When people want to go to vote, they will release money, they will buy over their mind. So if we have this huge money coming into Nigeria, and the most important thing is for us to change the face of leadership. If we can start a project whereby every person in the diaspora mobilize at least 3 people in your family, back them up with money to go and vote.
All right, thank you so much.
And we'll go on. Once you vote, you will get the money.
I mean, this seems to be an interesting proposal. But Professor Adebiyi, we need to go on a break. When we return, I'll be coming back to Professor Selle-Gold on his reaction to this. I also noticed that Francis Mountainfly doesn't seem to align with your last point. So we'll also take his reaction and then our final thoughts. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Thank you for staying with us. It's still Politics HQ on News Central Television. I still have my guest with me. Now, Professor Selle-Gold, just quickly, I'd like your reaction to some of the things that have been said as regards, instead of diaspora voting, the one that really caught my eye is, why not mobilize people with maybe incentive, maybe cash, to come out and vote, and then your final thoughts on this matter. 60 seconds.
Okay, thank you very much. Look, I still stand that we need to give the 17 million people, which is a verifiable fact. Even my children can go online and verify. You key in total number of Nigerians in diaspora, the figure will pop up. So we don't, that area, we don't need further explanation. Otherwise, you might as well just doubt the total population of Nigeria. And you might as well doubt the total remittances. Total remittance figure is not produced by the Nigerian consulate or any of the nations. It is a global figure. And so we need to go with the global analysis, those who are far more advanced than us that have been able to provide information. So let us not doubt what is there. If you have an alternative figure that disputes what I have said, then you say so. Otherwise, the figure stands. But listen, the issue of looking for perfection before coming up with an initiative for the overall interest of Nigeria, I don't go by that analogy, that approach. Otherwise, you might as well say, because we have electoral problems, malpractices in Nigeria, therefore there should be no election come 2027. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that.
All right. Thank you so much.
So do they agree that there should be no election in Nigeria because the Nigerian electoral process or system is imperfect? Hey, that is not, for me, that is not the approach we want to take. We have templates, existing templates in the world. Take it from the US, like one of the guys, my friends have said. Take it from Ghana. Take it from the people who have practiced it before. You will learn, and whatever errors you have seen, you'll find a way to correct the errors and move on. Right. So I am not in favor of looking for perfect system in Nigeria. US is not even perfect. United Kingdom is not perfect. Australia is not perfect. And the democracies are moving on. And so let us not wait for a perfect system.
All right, thank you so much.
Before we say that people who have been totally and painfully prevented from exercising their fundamental voting rights are allowed to vote. They should. They should. Thank
All
you
right,
very
Professor Selle-Gold, thank you so much. I'm coming to you right now, Francis Mountainfly. Your final thoughts.
Yeah, Professor, to be honest, migration data is notoriously difficult to pin down because when you use the remittance data, not only Nigerians are sending remittance to Nigeria get the fact. I can guarantee you that. So those data are even difficult to even narrow down to 70 million figure you see on the internet. Again, from Professor that said the diaspora should buy votes, incentivize people back home. Two wrongs cannot make a right. Rather, what we should be preaching is that if the diasporian want a good and fair election, we should create our own diasporian observers, volunteers in mass. During these elections, we will travel down. We have international observers, which I'm part of them, to go observe elections to make sure no malpractices. The diaspora Nigerian can begin to do this kind of stuff by putting deterrents, not buying vote like we said politicians are buying and you're buying, then it becomes the same nepotism. One tribe will buy all the votes for their own candidate and the other one will not buy. So let us take that ideology out of the whole equation. You see, what we should be looking at is the solution, how to put a deterrent to stop this happening from the grassroots. Like you said, if you have 3 people in your family, you need to be speaking to them. They need to be telling you what's happening in the world, who is coming to share the money, who is coming to do the malpractice. These are the information that you needed, and you begin to do what? To counter those stuff, rather than saying, if they're going to pay X, Y amount, you're going to pay X, Y amount. In doing so, we are not moving forward. It becomes the ticket for the highest bidder, which is something that we're seeing right here.
All right, thank you. Okay, 30 seconds. Let me allow you land.
Let us take feelings out of Nigerian politics. If you do politics with feelings, you get it all wrong.
All right, thank you very much for...
Do politics with intelligence and use tax.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Professor Adebiyi, your final thoughts, sir, and reaction.
Yeah, thank you so much. About the figures again, there is the fact that you can find anything online does not lend credence to it. And there are many reasons for this. One, we have irregular migration that characterizes Nigerian abroad. There is a problem of incomplete registration as we know it. NIDO started a project in 2021. Very few people register. There's a crisis of dual citizenship, complex ancestry, and the migratory pattern is quite heretical. Guardian's newspaper, when you look at their reporting last year, they reported 11.3 million. I've been following this data. So the fact that you can find something online does not lend it a spherical credence. That's that. Then clarification about, incentivizing voter. You see, as a behavioral scientist, I do a lot of things in the realm of behavioral science. We need to understand context. Poverty has been weaponized in Nigeria. Even those of us in diaspora, we incentivize people to do things for us. There is nothing wrong in incentivizing people to do the right thing. Because if you do not do that, most likely the politicians will hijack them and they will let the wrong people into position. And that is why I came up with this thing and I said, okay, if they are doing this, can we do better? We can incentivize for them to vote in the right way. That is the whole underlying idea. The other idea we can also pursue is this. We need to stop talking to ourselves. Politicians are very smart when it comes to talking to the street. Folks in the diaspora, they distance themselves from the street. So what I'm putting on the table now is that let us use our money power to be working with those on the streets too, mobilizing them, educating them. Look at our campuses. Politicians have taken over our campuses. Sheyi Tinubu has bought over NAS leadership. He has bought over
that's not verified. Professor Adebiyi, that's not verified.
So the other thing I want us to do now is that, one, we need to do a good job getting into our campus spaces. I know this. I'm a platform of former NAS leader. By virtue of being part of the NAS leadership. If we can take over our campuses, educate them, bring about educational awareness program that will make those students to stand out and educate the greater public and even vote. The right set of people. Nigerian campuses, the population of students there, they are
all right, we really need to go right now. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, gentlemen. It's been a pleasure having you on the program this evening. Professor Mondy Selle-Gold is the BOT chairman of the ADC, the USA. We also, of course, had Francis Mountainfly. He's a political analyst and strategist. Also, many thanks to you, Professor Jelili Adebiyi, former worldwide board member, Nigerians in Diaspora organization. Gentlemen, I can't thank you enough. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure having you. All right. At this point, this is where we, of course, drop the contents. In case you missed out, you can catch up on our YouTube platform. That's at News Central TV. You can also choose to follow me personally at Diaspora Adebiyi. Until I come your way again, good night.